It's 7:03. Hanson Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on April 27th, 2021. The Hanson Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on April 27th, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Hanson Middle School under Mass General Law, Chapter 48 on the application of Brookside Realty LLC for a special permit under Town of Hanson zoning bylaws Section 6HT and Section 8D, site plan approval under Town of Hanson zoning bylaws Section 7G1, and a variance under Town of Hanson zoning bylaws Section 7B, table of dimensional requirements in Section 9B2 A through C, to allow for the raising of the existing structure and construction of two 30 by 40 residential condominiums with associated site improvements and signage. Each building having two one-bedroom units at 1139 Main Street, map 43, lot 36A, Hanson Assessors Map. Property is in flexible overlay zone and commercial industrial zone. This meeting was continued from May 25th and continued to today, July 20th. I'm the chairman, Kevin Perkins, Mr. Buckley, vice chairman, and Ms. Venuti, one of our alternates. If you like, Mr. Crowell, go ahead.
Okay. Tonight we're not presenting, well, we're presenting something new. We have revised what we had presented before based on conversations and from the review engineer. It would be better to have, we have two separate buildings here, and what we had done before was this building was at the same corner as the existing building.
Yeah.
And we held that position. This one here, you can see the existing building here, and we've placed this corner. It's 12.6 and 12 feet off the front line, and it's 16 off of this. So this is the building setback line that the zone requires.
Yep.
So we're trying to become more compliant. We're further away from the sideline. We're further away from the street line. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a little plainer, and I think it'll work out fine. So we just started on this under a week ago. In the last couple of days, we've been trying to get this to work, and this is the dimensional things. We changed all of these numbers here. The existing setback was 6.4, and now we're actually at 12.6. That's from the front. From the sideline, it was 3.2 feet. Now we're at 12 and 12.6 feet. So it's a vast improvement, I think.
So what you did was, so there's one existing structure there now. And what you proposed originally was two proposed structures, and now you're going down to just one structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the existing conditions.
Yep.
And that's what was there before. And on the original submittal, we held that corner, and we held that same line that building was on. Mm-hmm. And we made one big building, or two buildings.
Right.
But we held that, and then we kept the same line, and we held this. So as further away you go from the sideline, the greater the distance is to the street line.
Okay.
But that's what we did initially.
Yep. So you consolidated into one structure.
Yeah.
And the setbacks went from the existing was what, 6 off the front?
Yeah, it was
somewhere around there.
Whatever it was, 6.4.
And
from
now,
the front.
and now the nearest setback is going to be 12.
It's the closest, and on this end it's 16.
Okay. But the nearest point is 12, and it's going from 6. So
Correct.
you're doubling what the existing setback
Correct,
is.
yeah.
Okay. What about that left-hand setback?
This was 3.2, and now it's 12.6. So.
Okay, so you tripled that one.
Yeah.
And I do recall this was something. Weren't you going to give an easement to the fire department next door?
Yeah, we still have that on there. We had that on this plan here,
Yep.
and we still have it on here. It's a 14-foot easement that's parallel to this sideline.
Yeah.
And it's not they're not going to be driving trucks down there. It's an access easement so they can access their utilities.
Sure, but I think that makes way more sense with the driveway on that side.
Correct.
If you're going to give them an access easement.
Right. Absolutely.
I think
Because we were a lot closer
Right, no, you had the building up against that property.
We're right
line.
up against it, so
Right.
this is a lot cleaner.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm assuming it's just gonna be grassed on that strip in
Yes,
between the driveway and the...
we have a swale going on. So this is the utility plan. This is a twice the scale.
Yep,
This is a
No, that's
1
good.
equals 10.
Yeah.
I don't have the dimensions on it, but this has all the utilities, or most of them, on there. And it shows the grading. And so you come in here, park.
so you're only going from like 61, 62 on that driveway to 60 at the other building? On your side, on the right side? On your driveway coming in, it looks like you got 60 and 62, 61?
61, 62.
And then on the right, to the right of that driveway, in between the fire station where you're giving them the easement?
60.
Yeah, we're creating, there's a 60 right
okay.
there.
So it's not like it's going to be a major berm where you're going to stop them from...
Yeah.
No, that looks good.
So on the other plan, we had a wall on the back here, and we still have to do that to make the grading work.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to meet with conservation on this?
We haven't yet, and it's just as well that we will submit within a week of doing
Okay.
that now, because now that we've figured out what we want to do here,
Yep.
or it's a better use of the land,
Sure.
we can submit to everybody, and then when we hear everybody's comments, we
Did you
can.
get a copy of my letter? I'm not sure. You did?
Yes, he did.
Okay, great.
We're in the
Yeah,
middle of a meeting.
we're in the
Oh,
middle of
I'm
the meeting
sorry. I
before.
thought I could come in.
You can.
I come in and
You
sit.
can just go right in the back.
Is that okay? I don't mean to be rude.
This is a 7 o'clock meeting, but you can come. You can sit right over there. Sure. What else was I going to ask? So it's still 4 units, 4 one-bedroom units, right?
Yes.
Okay, but what you did was you're making one structure rather than 2,
Yeah.
which I think is definitely more respectful to the bylaws than having 2.
No, this is the old plan.
Yeah,
and
I
the
have to
septic
say.
system's basically the same.
Yep. Oh, of course, of course.
But we may be able to get rid of the pump chamber possibly.
Okay.
Checking on that.
Now, what do you have for parking? Do you still have?
Same number of
You
parking
have eight-
spaces.
eight
There's
parking spaces?
Eight parking
Okay.
spaces, yeah.
All right. Yeah, that looks like a major improvement from the initial plan, and you're going with patios rather than decks as well. So
Yeah.
it's actually going to decrease the coverage,
Yeah, no.
the building
right,
coverage.
Right now, we just showed walkways going out, but
Yep.
talking with Ed, we're gonna connect these all over here.
Yep.
So that'll change.
Yeah, there's no sidewalk there, so I don't want people to walk out on
Right.
Main,
Right.
just out to Main
So
Street.
we can connect all of these people, so they can come out the front door, walk around to their parking lot, but, I mean, they'll probably come out the back door and get over here.
Yeah, Mr. Buckley, what do you think? Maybe some type of like landscape buffer or something along the street, or?
Oh, yeah, I haven't even attached that yet, I thought about that.
Yeah, do you
But
have, you don't have any plan for that right now?
No, I mean, this is all developed
No,
in
I
2.5 days.
The layout's much cleaner, so.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to ask about, do you have any lighting or do you plan to incorporate some lighting, whether it's, parking lot lighting in the back?
Yeah, we will.
Okay. And do you still have a location for a dumpster pad there?
This is the dumpster pad right here.
Okay. All right.
Okay, there it is right there.
Okay. Yeah, I would think maybe even if you just did, like one post light off each unit with a dusk to dawn sensor, something like that, maybe you could, somewhere along the front where you're going to do the walkway going to the driveway,
Mhm.
if you maybe put 2 out there and maybe 2 out back, one off each unit, so they're all, so you don't have to have, common meters and get into that because it's
Right.
just 4 units, but that would probably do well lighting up the area. Do you have any comments, Joe?
No. I think it looks good.
Yeah, I think it's a major improvement from the initial plan.
And from what's existing.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, it'd be good to get that.
It's an eyesore right now.
It would be good to get that area really moving along, right along the train station there. That'd be great.
That would just be another nice addition to be able to update the area,
Absolutely. Did you have any other comments, Sean?
No, it looks much better than it did before.
So-
I'll turn off my volume, sorry.
I guess, so it seems like the general consensus of the board is that it's a major improvement over, your initial plan that you came in with. I guess if maybe we could, dress it up with a little bit of landscaping or something to see how it's going to lay out,
Right.
and maybe some lighting, and then if you could reconfigure your front walkways, that kind of stuff. Just kind of tune it up a little bit. And I know that Merrill Engineering still needs to review that.
They did one initial review.
Yeah, they did. They did.
So, I just asked her, I said, we don't need him to be here tonight. Because
No, right. I had told
So-
Peter that he didn't need to come tonight. It was really just going to be informational, and that
Right.
it's most likely going to get continued.
Yeah.
But if you could, as soon as you have kind of a finalized draft, give him ample time to
Right.
review it.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of times stuff's coming in,
I
a
know,
day
last
before,
time, yeah.
and it's really tough for us to look at and familiarize with, and it's really tough for a review engineer too, as well. So.
I'm just curious, what were you saying about him adjusting what about the walkways?
Just what they were talking about, the walkways on the front, where they have an individual walkway coming off each unit.
I showed them just coming straight off like this.
Right, they're all coming to Main Street, but you're not going to have them. If
But
maybe they had a
We're
share,
gonna have
and
a
they came
walk
off.
that's gonna come.
Right.
Oh, you're gonna.
Cross
All
like
right,
that.
I missed
So
it.
it's going to come back to the driveway. So I was thinking maybe if they incorporated some sort of a landscape, a mulch bed, a buffer, or something
Yeah,
between,
yeah.
just
Between,
to border the walkway and
Yeah,
be a buffer between
On-
On the
right
previous
away.
plan, we had plantings back here, and that was the septic system falls right in here. So that will probably we'll still have that, and then because you couldn't do anything here, you're right on the street. So now if we pull it back, we can put some low shrubs and
Right.
all
Yeah,
that.
so they'll all come down to a walkway that comes across, and just do a mulch bed in the front. Maybe do some small plantings through the whole thing.
Yeah, just something to give it a little,
Yeah.
a little bit of screening, a little
Yeah.
bit of a buffer.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be nice. But I mean, overall, I think you're going to raise an existing structure that's completely non-conforming and terrible shape, and you're proposing a new structure, and it's going to pretty much double the non-conforming setbacks that you have existing. You're going to triple the front and double the left side. So I think that's a major improvement to what's there. I mean, a few little tweaks and it looks good, and I think. Just let our review engineer look at it and see if there's any major concerns for your drainage calcs. And has the septic system been designed and reviewed, or is that still?
No, we'll send that out too. But it had actually, that same system had been reviewed, I don't know, 10 years ago. It was actually approved by them and also conservation.
Okay.
But the previous owner didn't take it to you guys for the final. It was pending approval by the ZBA, and it would have been approved. So,
But you have a design figured out. The size isn't going to change.
oh, no.
What the size? Okay.
It's all designed.
Okay. I just hate to see you, come through us and then have to tweak something down the road and then
Right.
have to come back to us to modify or shift a building or move something in
No,
order to fit your
it's-
septic system.
This is already designed. Just have to get it to them to review.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing to, do we have an available date, Virginia?
Well, we're looking into September now. Okay,
What do we
so,
got for September?
you could do the September 14th,
Nothing before that?
September
No.
7th, but I might be on vacation that week, I'm not
All
sure.
right, September 14th,
Yeah,
21 is 7.
yeah.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to continue this hearing to September 14th, 2021 at 7 p.m.
Second.
You can move the motion.
Oh, move the motion to continue.
Okay.
All in favor?
Okay, you'll second it?
Second it?
Okay. Any discussion on it?
No.
None.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi. Can you just sign that, Ed?
Yes.
Is there a time to it, or
7 p.m. Yep, September 14th, 7
I'll
p.m.
send you a copy of that, or Bob, whoever wants it. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, so it's 7:32. Hanson Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on July 20th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. at Hanson Town Hall, Selectmen's Meeting Room, under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, on the application of Chris Lyons for a special permit/variance under Town of Hanson zoning bylaws, Section 6C, 6B, Section 8D3, A through F, and Section 9B2A through C to allow for the addition of a 3-bedroom apartment at 830 Main Street, Old Hanson Hobby Shop, changing the property into a 3-family building. Map 42, Lot 43, Hanson Assessors Map. Property is in a Residence B zone and is pre-existing non-conforming. So I'm your chairman, Kevin Perkins. This is the vice chairman, Mr. Buckley, and one of our alternates, Ms. Minuti. Let's see here. We have a couple things to read into the record. This is a letter from our building inspector, zoning enforcement officer, Kerry Glass, dated July 20th, 2021. Dear Honorable Board of Appeals, I have seen and reviewed the petition of Chris Lyons, who is requesting a special permit variance under the Town of Hanson zoning bylaws, Section 6C, 6B, Section 8D3, A through F, and Section 9B2, A through C, to allow for the addition of a 3-bedroom apartment at 830 Main Street, the Old Hanson Hobby Shop, changing the property to a 3-family building. The property is located on Hanson Assessors Map 42, Lot 43. Property is in a Residence B zone and is pre-existing non-conforming. This office has no concerns regarding this proposal. However, a permit must be issued prior to the start of construction. We have a letter from Deputy Fire Chief Robert O'Brien to the Hanson Board of Appeals dated July 7th, 2021. 830 Main Street. It has come to the fire department's attention that Mr. Lyons has converted a single-family home into a multi-family home with 2 apartments. At no time was the fire department made aware of this, and when we checked with the assessors, they were not aware of this change either. The Hanson Fire Department has multiple concerns regarding this property. We have no record of the property being inspected during the sale in 2019. Mass General Law, Chapter 148, Section 26.5F states, every dwelling, building, or structure occupied in whole or in part for residential purposes shall, upon sale or transfer of such dwelling, building, or structure, be inspected by the head of the fire department for compliance with the requirements of this section. When did this become a multifamily and who permitted it? ? Talking with the assessors, this is a multi-use property, not a multifamily property. The smoke and carbon monoxide detectors need to be upgraded to hardwired with battery backup throughout the entire building. This must be brought up to the current code specific to multifamily, not just the proposed 3rd apartment. We have sent a letter to the tenant on the 2nd floor regarding a gas grill on their deck. This is not allowed. There is a small buildup of debris on the left side of the building. This is an apparent fire hazard and needs to be addressed immediately. These are some of the potential issues that the fire department has had at this location. The fire code is much different for a multifamily versus single family. Again, we believe this is to be currently an unauthorized multifamily home. Respectfully, Robert O'Brien, Deputy Fire Chief, Hanson Fire. And then we have a letter from Molly McPhail.
Yes.
At 848 Main Street, Hanson, Mass. Dated July 18th, 2021. Dear ZBA, in response to your letter about the owner, Chris Lyons of 830 Main Street, Hanson, Mass, showing interest in converting the single-family residence into a legal 3-family home, I would like to make you aware of some serious hazard concerns that have been brought to my attention from the previous owner as well as the tenant, Russell Reynolds, who Chris initially made live in an illegal apartment. The applicant already converted this house into a multifamily with 3 units without seeking the proper approval. The applicant has already shown a complete disregard for complying with the regulations, and despite our building inspector, health agent, and wiring inspector bringing numerous code violations to his attention, the applicant has shown a complete disregard for the health and safety of his tenants and neighbors by having unlicensed people do electrical and gas work. The house presents a danger to first responders as a result of the multiple code violations. There is not enough adequate parking for the building to be made into a 3-family. There is not enough room for a fire truck to get in. The applicant should not be rewarded for violating our current bylaws and numerous building codes by being granted a variance to make the building into a 3-family home. He already decided what he was going to do and now is coming after the fact for permission. 3-family homes are not in keeping with that portion of Main Street, where there are mostly single-family homes. Please keep in mind Chris had no intentions of bringing the house up to code in a safe place for the residents to live. His neglect and irresponsibility is a serious one that can obviously take people's lives. It is to my understanding that Chris attempted all of the electrical work, etc., to which he is not licensed to do so. At this point, it is our understanding that the inspectors have not inspected some serious concerns that are listed below. Exposed wires in attic, the foundation of the home, wavy roof lines, beams taken out that made a wall bow, wire that runs out to the old hobby shop sign underground. Light fixtures enclosed. Bathroom added above the barn with no licensed electrical work. The back porch is rotted and rotting away from the house, and the steps are unsafe. Snow blows onto the heating system, and animals make nests on top of the heating system. The front porch is hiding the front entrance of the foundation where it is rotted. Pegs holding the beams broke, causing the floor to bow. He repaired it by filling it with about 50 buckets of compound and then flooring over it. Exposed wires coming from the house in the front. Only 60 amps for the electric box. Mice, rats, possums, and raccoons finding their way into the home. Removal of walls in the barn when it was a non-conforming residence. A few questions remain. How is a 3-family septic tank allowed to be installed on a half acre in Hanson, when a few years ago you had to have a full acre to install a 3-family septic tank? When was this home changed from a single family to a 2-family home, and why were the neighbors never notified? To our understanding, for the 45 years that we have lived in Hanson, 830 Main Street was always a single-family home with the hobby shop business, and as it currently stands, it is now an illegal 2-family home. I am writing this letter as a request to ensure that all matters are taken seriously, investigated, and overseen by the ZBA thoroughly, and not to be shunned or neglected. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Sincerely, Molly McPhail. Okay. There's a lot of reading. I think that's all we have for comments. I guess we'll open it up to the applicant to speak on the application.
Sure. So the house is pretty old. I mean, I think it's 1880 that it was built. And it's a beautiful house. I purchased it a couple years ago, and my intention was to keep it as the hobby shop. And the gentleman that was there said that there was no way he could actually pay rent because his mother owned the building, and the internet has taken over the amount of money he could make. So as far as keeping it as a hobby shop, it's not really viable for that area. What I see is, it's in an area that is close to the train. It's in an area that is, it's got a lot of square footage in there. And it was, as far as not being a 2-family, it was always used as a 2-family. It has, the electrical's got 3 meters in there, and it's always been used as that. I don't think it was ever updated through the town. I don't think they ever, I don't know what the status is as far as, but I'm using it as a 2-family now. I've spoke to the building department. I've spoke to the fire department. I've spoke to the Board of Health. Everybody's on board as far as what I've been doing to it. I've upgraded the septic system, and I plan on upgrading the electrical and redoing the entire electrical service over. And as far as anything that was done there's nothing that's been done there illegally. It's all been approved by the town at this point. Permits have been obtained. Demolition permits been obtained, and there's no code violations. So my intention is to make it into a 3-family due to the fact that there's really no housing in Hanson. It's a beautiful area. It's got a lot of square footage, and as far as what Hanson needs, I'm trying to upgrade the house. I'm trying to make it into a better house. It needed a lot of work. I intend to do a lot more work to it. It's a beautiful house, and I know Hanson is in need of housing. I mean, I've been a landlord for 27 years, and I grew up being a landlord. I have 21 apartments that I own. I put the ads in the internet, Facebook. I put them all on there, and the demand for housing is huge. And I have no problem renting these things out, but I feel as though that area would warrant, rather than going with a commercial space there, I thought about maybe like a nail salon or something there. I spoke with some town officials about it, and the best use for the town would be for the 3 unit. It's got plenty of square footage. It's in a great area, close to the train, and as far as I'm concerned, I think the town would benefit from having more people have affordable housing in that area. It's already an empty space now. I got 1,000 square feet just sitting there empty, and I know the town doesn't want to just have it sit there with no use for it. And I'm trying to upgrade it. I'm going to sink a lot of money into it. I'm going to increase the value of the house, I'm going to generate more income for the town. And there's a shortage. There's a shortage of apartments. There really is. Hanson's a small town. It doesn't have the amount of housing I think that's needed. I mean, I'm not planning on. If it just sits there, it's going to be useless. But my intention is to upgrade the house. I'm going to do all the electric over, service and everything. I've already completed the septic system, brand new. My intention is to just keep it as a rental. And I mean, I put ads on Facebook all the time, and there's a demand. There's a huge demand for rental, and I don't think Hanson has enough rental property. And my intention is to make that into a beautiful house. I'm going to sink a lot of money into it, but if I'm not allowed to do it, it's 1,000 square feet just sitting there, and I think the town would need some more people, you know, for renting. I really do. And, you know, if you give me permission to do this, I would increase the value of the house, increase revenue for the town, and I think it would be a really good idea for the town.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. So, when did you purchase this property?
Over a year ago.
So, 2020?
I'm not sure the exact date. It's definitely over a year ago, maybe a year.
2019.
October of 19.
So, the end of 19, you bought it.
I guess so. I'm
Was
not
that
exactly
listed
sure
for
the date.
sale, or was it a private sale, or what was it?
It was listed for sale.
It was listed for sale. So, how was that property represented when it was sold?
Two-family. It was listed as a two-family, and it has 3 meters in there, and it's got 2 separate floors, all separate entrances.
Do you know who had the listing on it? Was it a local agent? Or?
You can. It's online. I mean, you
Yeah.
can probably still grab
Yeah,
it
we'll
online.
have
It was
to.
listed as a two-family.
Yeah, we'll have to dig that up
And
a little
I
bit.
spoke with the building. I spoke with the building inspector about it, and
So it was
The
represented.
3 meters that are in there, one of them's a dead meter.
Yeah,
And-
well, we can get to the public comments. Thank you.
he feels as though the best benefit for it would be to make it into another apartment rather than commercial use.
Yeah,
I don't know what would do well there. I mean, I'd be up for commercial use, but I don't think anything. I don't think the town would need anything there that would warrant the amount of space.
So
It's
you're
1,000 square feet of empty living area.
no, I got that. So you're saying it was represented as a two-family when you bought it?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with the zoning bylaws in Hanson?
For the zoning bylaws, I'm familiar with what I see. I mean, I don't
No, I
study
mean-
them. I mean, as
Well,
far
I mean, we have a whole bylaw book. Are you familiar with what the allowed uses are in districts and where the districts are in town and what they are?
all I know is what the building inspector said to me, and he felt as though the best use would be
Yeah,
an
so
apartment.
I'll give you a little info. So that's in a residence B. Okay, so in a residence B, the allowed use is basically there's no commercial. You can have like the pediatric office down the street, the old Hanson Animal Hospital, like those type of uses. Those are the very few commercial uses you can have. That area is zoned residence B, which basically you can use without reading them off. You can basically have a single family dwelling. Even a two-family, there's only one way you could do a two-family, and that's a conversion to a two-family. Aside from that, if you had something that predated zoning, meaning that it existed, you had a legal three-family that existed or a legal two-family that existed prior to the adoption of zoning in 1956, 55, in that area, then you would be able to continue the legal use of it. Now, I went back today and I did some homework on the property, and I went through the entire building permit file. We have nothing in the zoning office and in the building office. I went through that entire file, and the only thing I could find was something from 1962 that was a permit to remodel a single-family home. That's what it was. It was handwritten, and it was specific to say that it was a single-family home to remodel it for the sale of the property. And so that was post-zoning. When zoning was adopted, that was pulled after that. So at that point in time, that was a single-family property. Now, I don't know how it got from that to what it is now, and I'm going to guess that it was an in-home business. The residents, the people that live there, they own the property, and they live there. And that isn't allowed use by special permit. You can have an in-home business such as, like dressmaking. There's certain items that are more intended for you live there and you have like kind of a side business out of your house, not a commercial use, not to have, like you said, a nail salon or something. So further down the street on Route 27 is the district we call the Flexible Overlay District. And that is a lot more broad to what you can do. There's a lot of allowed uses that you can do there. That's where you see Dunkin' Donuts, where the train tracks are, where you see those commercial uses. But where you are back in the Residence B, that's really strict to single-family home, or there's a very small way you could do a two-family. Or like I said, you could have something that's pre-existing non-conforming, it's been there forever, predates zoning. But
What do you have as a zoning right now?
I'm sorry?
What is it zoned as right now?
That probably
Multi-use, is it not?
That's what I'm telling you, is there's nothing in that folder to show that was anything there was ever legally done. So
I mean, you're talking about a building that was back in 1880. I mean, as
no,
far as like
I
the
understand.
town-
I understand the building predates zoning, but what I'm telling you is I can find it here if you want. It's actually right here.
He's saying that whenever Hanson Hobby, if I may, Jim,
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
I think what he's saying is whenever Hanson Hobby may have started, that they kind of did it as a side business in the house, and that it wasn't necessarily something that was brought legally in front of any type of board in Hanson or approved in any way. So there's nothing on record except for a single family home.
How does it become a business without anything on record? I'm not following.
Because people just kind of let it go or something.
But
It's not something that was ever legally done.
Hobby shop for 30 plus years. I mean, and,
Yeah, so-
I mean, how does it become? You know, every year it gets
Gotcha.
approved. You know, every year as a business, multi-use, and you know, it's in an area that when I purchased the property, it was advertised as a two-family, and it was advertised as multi-use.
Mhm.
And as far as I know, the town records have it as multi-use.
Yep. And the existing use there that was a hobby shop, which was an in-home business. If you wanted to continue the use of an in-home business, then you would be allowed to do that by special permit if you wanted to. But you would have to reside there. Do you live there?
No, but I intend to live in the apartment. Perhaps.
Okay. Well, what I can tell you is that property was never a three-family, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that's not an allowed use, a permitted use, and it's not an allowed use by special permit, a three-family. So what I can tell you is that we do not grant use variances. So what I can tell you is that I can't speak for the board, but what I can tell you is my own knowledge that that's probably not going to work for a three-family. Now, if we were to find some information on that this was a legal two-family, that it predated, that it was backdated, that it was a legal two-family, then that's something we could discuss further to allow that.
What is the procedure for electrical meters as far as having 3 meters?
That has no relevance on zoning. Plumbing, building code, none of that has anything to do with zoning, with uses, nothing. You could have 14 meters. You could have one for each bedroom. It has.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it has nothing. You
Yeah,
could have.
all I
you
know
could-
is I purchased the property. It was listed as
No, I understand.
multi-use, and
Yep.
it was existing as a two-family.
Yep. No, I understand that. And if that's the case, and someone misrepresented the property, I mean that's an issue between you and the person you bought it from. If someone misrepresented and said, "Hey, this is a three-family," or "Hey, you can make this a three-family," that would be an issue on their part.
I'm here to make it into a 3, but currently it's a 2.
Yep.
Always
Not
has
even
been
a
a
2.
2.
Not even a two, it's a single family.
So I'll just read you a little. Where are we? So some of the uses that would be allowed by special permit would be a funeral home, mortuary, crematory, professional office, and there's a lot of requirements that go along with these things, with lot area, frontage, those type of things that we're not even going to get into that. But those are some of the very few other uses other than single-family dwellings. So these are basically the allowed uses. Single-family dwelling, boarding house, rooming house, public or parochial school, hospital, playground, churches, parish houses, and then there's a few that you could do by special permit. That's like a nursery, schools, hospitals, certain things that really are kind of almost exempt from zoning. But like I said, you could convert a house from a single family dwelling to a two-family, but there's requirements you got to meet. The house has to predate zoning, which I agree yours does. But you need to have at least 40,000 square feet, and it didn't look like you did. So those two requirements have to be met. They have to be met. They're critical. But I mean, this is the other one here. So this is my opinion how this got to where it was. That you could have a home occupation such as dressmaking, home cooking, repair of portable equipment or appliances, real estate agent, arts and crafts, selling antiques, computer-based business. I mean, that sounds more along the lines of a hobby shop and what that was and how it got to
Was
that.
that approved as a hobby shop?
That
on record?
That I couldn't find. I spent about probably an hour of my own time today looking for that, and I would suggest these are things that probably you should dig into.
Well, we're talking 30 years as a hobby shop. I mean, you should have record. You should have record as far as a hobby shop.
Oh, I agree that it was a hobby shop, and like I said, this is my opinion, a single family with an in-home business. So that could be continued by special permit. I don't think
Is
that
that
would
on
be an
record
issue.
as an in-home business?
That would have to. I mean, that's what it was.
Is
I know
that
the
your
people that live
assumption,
there.
or is that?
That would be my assumption, yes. But like I'm
So
saying,
you're assuming that? You don't
I
know?
am, and until someone were to give me information on it,
Yeah,
to show me
just
one
trying to
way or
figure out
another.
how it was 30 years as a hobby shop
Right,
without
right.
anything on the town record.
Did you bring
Yes.
Did you bring anything that shows that?
As a hobby shop?
That has anything? Did you bring anything
No,
with you tonight?
no,
Okay.
no.
All right. Yeah, I mean, this is going to involve, if we're going to move forward one way or another with this is going to involve, a lot of homework. I don't mind doing some of it, but this is
Yeah.
more or less the burden on the applicant to do.
Sure.
Whether it's through your representative, an attorney, an engineer, someone, or you do it yourself, that's completely up to you. But kind of the burden's on the applicant to, give us information so we can actually go through and we can make a good decision on this.
As far as I understand, the house is listed as mixed use. Am I correct or incorrect?
As far as what listed where?
Mixed use. As far as the town records.
You're saying as far as taxes, so how it's
Well,
assessed.
as far as the building department has it and the town has it as mixed use or no?
I would say, are you referring to the property record card, the
I'm
tax
just
assessment?
referring to it if it is indeed mixed use or not.
It would show it on the property record.
Yeah, I mean that would be on the assessor's card. As
You
to
have-
what
you
it
have
is.
the,
So, I mean, this here it says multi-use residential. That's what it says.
what does that mean? Multi-use residential.
That just means what it's being taxed as. It doesn't really mean what's there, what it's being used as. Because I can tell you that I did go through a lot of these old field cards, and a lot of them said no access granted, no access granted. That the people that live there would not allow them into the property. So we don't know what's there. It's based off the exterior appearance of the building and drive-bys. And I know that a lot of these notes, I went through this today. Like I said, I spent about an hour.
Yeah.
And a lot of these notices say, they left notice on the door, or people would not allow them in the house.
Well, that's standard. I mean, usually people don't get.
Yeah, but what I'm telling you is, we don't have information in front of us to support what you're saying. So I guess in order to
I
move
guess
forward,
what I'm saying is it listed as mixed use through the town of Hanson? That's the question.
it's multi-use residential, not mixed use. So
So it's multi-use
I would classify that
residential. What does
different.
that mean, multi-use residential?
I would say that it was
What is
a
the
residence.
definition of that?
I would
multi-use?
say that it would be a residence with an in-home business. I would think that that's what I gain out of it. And I
Like
mean,
you don't know what that means? Like when you say mixed use,
Oh.
what is that?
I'll ask
What does it mean?
Ms. Kamath if you could.
Mixed use is it means that it's a primary resident with an in-home business in it.
So-
it's
So anything that's
classified as
missed,
an
Sir,
013.
sir, if you could just let her talk.
Classified
Thank
as
you.
an 013 through the Department of Revenue because that's what we've had the property at.
okay,
The
so
minute that hobby shop went away, it goes to a 101 single family because that's all it was ever listed as.
okay, I'm just trying to make use out of that space. That's all. I mean, I hate to see it sit vacant. I think it would be a loss for the town to have that 1,000 square feet just sit there vacant. I think the town would benefit from having more people with affordable housing living there. And the train right down the street.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as far as mixed use, meaning it's if you say mixed use means a business, in-home business. So you're saying anything that's mixed use in Hanson means mixed use means it has an in-home business?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
no.
'Cause that's what I heard.
What we're talking about is a residence B, and that wouldn't be an allowed use. So it wouldn't be to get if let me back up. So if this property was, say, just a hobby shop, I would agree that that's a business. That's just a flat out business. It's not a residential with an in-home business. The primary use of this property was residential. It was a single family dwelling. And the in-home business was, we'll call it an accessory use to the property. Okay? So if these people didn't live here and say it was a hobby shop and there was 2 rental apartments above it, but as far as I know, and unless someone can, tell me otherwise, I don't have all the facts, but I grew up in town, I've been in town 32 years. And I used to go into this hobby shop, and it was always the people that owned the property that ran the hobby shop. So that, to me, as far as I know, in my knowledge, that this was an in-home business. It was a single family, people lived there, and the business was part of the residence. So, if you can dig up some information that tells me otherwise, but that's what I know about the property.
I feel the same.
Yeah.
I met the guy. He was the son of the owner.
Sure.
I just don't understand mixed. I guess I'm just not understanding mixed use.
Mixed use is not mixed family.
So what you have is, there has to be a primary use of a property, right? So you have a property, and there has to be a primary use. So what would we agree on that the use of this property is?
Residential.
Residential. And what's the main residential part of this property?
What do you mean by the main residential part of the property?
What would be the primary use of this property? If we said, what's the main use of this property? It would be a single family dwelling, is what it would be. And maybe there was an accessory apartment, maybe there was an in-law. I don't know. That's what I'm saying is someone's going to have to do some digging on this.
We're talking about a long time ago. These things, should be grandfathered in, providing that they was always used as the intention, and the use of it was always as a 2-family. It's got 4 entrances. There's no.
Yep.
Everything's got separation walls. We're talking about a long time ago.
Do they have 2 separate addresses?
Oh, I don't know.
No, they don't.
Do you get mail there?
I don't live there.
Do you get electric bills there? And
I don't pay the electric.
But they're not. Are they 2? I'm just curious. I'm trying to figure out the facts. Are there
there's
2
two-
separate addresses there? One for the
there's-
business and
there's
one
2
for the.
separate electric bills. Yeah,
But are they addressed to the same address?
I don't know.
Yeah, one goes to the hot water tank, and the other one goes to the people upstairs that are illegal in that apartment.
No, I don't fault you one bit for wanting to use the property and maximize the use of it. My personal opinion that would probably be best suited for, possibly utilizing all of it as maybe a 2-family, but I really don't see you converting this to a 3-family. That's just my own personal opinion. Sean, do you have any comments on it?
Based on zoning, I don't think it's even possible to do a 3-family, not even close. But like you're saying, it could be some possible way to end up figuring out a 2-family. But even right now, you'd need to do some digging and figure out if you can even do a 2-family technically.
Right.
So,
You're talking about a 2-family that's been there for, I don't know, 100 years. The electrical inspector's been in there, and the meters. If it was a single family residence, there'd be one meter there. There would be no reason to change the meters. But we're talking about a building that's got separate entrances. That is it's totally separated.
Mm-hmm.
I purchased the property as a 2-family. Mr. Reynolds actually was evicted from the property, and obviously that's why he's here tonight. But he was evicted from the property.
Yeah, I know there's probably a little backstory, but if we could just one at a time, please. Thank you.
Mr. Reynolds, but he was evicted from
Sir,
the
if you could, that's kind of irrelevant to what the use of this property is. So,
I'd rather not be interrupted by him. That's all.
Yeah, no,
but I think the best use would be residential, to keep it as a residential apartment. It's got a tremendous amount of square footage in there. My intention is to upgrade everything. It's a beautiful house. It's got some nice ornamental detail. It's been there for a long time, and my intention is to sink a lot of money into it and make the town of Hanson better. I'm just looking to make the best use out of it. And now it's just it's a tremendous amount of square footage just sitting there, empty.
Yep, I understand.
I have plenty of parking. I've upgraded the septic. I'm prepared to sink plenty of money into it and make Hanson a better town. I'm just trying to provide housing for people that don't have it too.
Are you from Hanson? Were you familiar with this property before you bought it, or?
I have friends in Hanson. I grew up in Norwell.
Okay.
I live in Plymouth now.
Okay.
I have rental property all over the South Shore.
I mean, it's up to you how you want to move forward with this. I mean, if you want the board to make a decision on this tonight, we can put that to a vote, I would think. Or if you want to try to,
Well, I mean, based on what you're telling me, maybe I should do some research. Maybe I should, get some counsel on this.
Continue.
And, because I'm
That's-
just going by what I see. What I purchased was a 2-family. It said mixed use. I looked up the property record, and you're saying mixed use is mixed use only by the assessors, not by. I mean, I don't know how you guys do things, but when I see 3 meters and a whole separate entrance, I'm kind of flabbergasted that's listed as a single family. But
I think it's a separate description between mixed use and multi-use residential, because is that a separate? Okay, so this is multi-use residential. That's what this is classified. But I mean, to be honest with you, what it's being assessed as is irrelevant to what, zoning wise, what the allowed use is, what's permitted, what's non-conforming. You could have a buildable house lot that's being taxed as non-buildable.
No, I understand.
Or you could have a non-buildable house lot.
Yeah, no,
that's
I
being,
understand that.
It doesn't really make or break anything. And then building code, electrical code, those things really have no influence on zoning. Like I said, you could have 14 heating systems in one house. It doesn't make it a 14-unit
No, I
building.
understand that.
Or you could have 2 kitchens. You could have a wet bar in your basement. And
Yeah,
you
I'm
could
just
have
trying to figure out how
Right,
as far
and-
as I know from the electrical,
Yep.
when you get a separate meter, it has to be a 2-family. I mean, you can't put another meter in with it being a single family. It's
Well, you absolutely could. You just can't. You would have to pay it and include the
It would be a
electricity.
common, but there's
Right.
3 there. There's
Right.
3 meters there.
Right. So I guess the question is, do you want to maybe take some time to do some homework on this, or consult with, I guess, counsel or an engineer or someone, or do you want us to bring
Yeah,
this to a
I
vote
think I'd
tonight?
like some time to research it a little more.
Okay.
And because I was unaware that you have it as a single family.
Yeah, that's the
puzzling to me. I mean, the house is all, I mean, it's been separated as a 2 for, God, the way the construction looks with the separate stairways and separate
Sure.
entrances. I
Yep.
mean, as far as the way the construction looks, it looks like it's been that way for 100 years.
Yeah.
So as far as not having any record, I guess these things slip by the cracks. But
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I mean, we can get your copy of this, but this is the most recent thing I could find really that referenced the property building-wise or zoning-wise, and it's from 1968. And I'll tell you, for a property that's very, very old, that folder was very, very thin, which tells me that not a lot of things there were done correctly and gone through the chain of command like they were supposed to.
Well, that's why I'm here. I'm trying to.
No, I understand.
I'm trying to
Yep.
upgrade it.
Yeah, right.
Yep. No, I understand, and I did read some information that things were started without permits and blah 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 blah, and we got to this point here.
Right.
To now, you're in front of the zoning board because things got started without even remodel permits, without demo permits, and now it's kind of you were told to do all this, and now we're backtracking and trying to go back down the right
Yeah,
road.
you don't know the whole story on that.
No, and I don't need to. I mean, I'm here to determine what the use of this property is and what the allowed uses are.
Well, I think the best thing we can do is to continue it, and then I can seek some counsel on looking into the existing conditions and how they were for years and years and years.
Yeah. I think that sounds probably like a good idea for you.
It's just a building that was always a 2-family, and the 3-family. I don't know what else to do with that space. I mean, it's a shame to have it sit there. I mean, I think Hanson would benefit from it. Tax revenue would increase, and it's a shame to have a building just sit there, 1,000 square feet just doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you can or you can't do a 3-family there, but what I can tell you is that it's not an allowed use. It's not an allowed use by special permit, and we're not allowed to grant a variance for use. So, those are facts that you can take and weigh out how you want, but I can tell you those for certain. Public, you guys have any comments?
Yeah, I mean,
If you could just state your name and address.
Molly McPhail, 848 Main Street,
Thank you.
Hanson, Mass. He's sitting here saying that, he's done everything legally, and obviously we have proof that he did not. I do know that the inspectors, when they showed up that day, that Russell had to get thrown out was because every time he turned on the stove, the electric box would smoke up, and that was only 60 AMP. when or if that house goes up into flames, my house will. And that's my major concern. There's no way I'm going to allow someone to come in and Mickey Mouse a house and say, oh, give me the opportunity to fix it up, when he had 2 years to fix it up, and he's letting people come and go and live in it and neglected it, and he's not standing up to the plate and doing the right thing from the get-go. And that makes me very uneasy and very upset, because we're talking about lives. We're talking about my life, my mother's life, and the lives of the people that are living in that home who don't know that they're living in a matchbox. And that's a serious concern and something I'm voicing, and I believe this needs to be taken very seriously. If it's not, I'm going to have to take the next step. I'm not afraid to do that.
Yeah, so, I mean, as far as the actual building, you know, the electrical, the plumbing, that stuff, that's really outside of our jurisdiction. This is really on, you know, the use of the property. But I mean, definitely great concerns, and we have a bigger folder on this property since you bought it than we did prior to when you bought it. I mean, just with, you know, to be honest with you, we do. Just with issues with stop work and that kind of stuff. But to your point, I completely understand that you live next door and you want to see things done right, regardless of what they're allowed to do.
Right.
But this is more to really, I guess, the legal end of what he can legally do with the property for the use. What was there, what he can legally continue if it's not conforming, and if he's trying to do an increase in a nonconformity, he most likely probably will not be able to do that. Did you have anything else? We do have your letter stamped in, and we do have that in the folder. So.
Yeah.
Russell Reynolds case in Mass Ethics Department. What I'm saying is, well, how is it still that he gets to have these other tenants up there when it's still listed as a single family?
So, as far as
And
we're not enforcement.
right.
So what happens is someone fills out an application and we have to act on the application.
Right.
We're not enforcement. If there's a zoning violation going on, that's something that I believe there's a complaint form that could be filled out and filed.
Which was done when
Yep.
what happened is the boxer started smoking. And I called the police came and they notified the building inspector.
Yep.
He came, told me I had to leave because he knew as soon as he opened the door, knew that it was the old hobby shop,
Yep.
not a full-blown done-over apartment.
Right.
That he did.
Yep.
And
As far as a zoning violation, that's our building inspector. He's / zoning enforcement as well.
Right.
He oversees both, so that would be something that he would enforce. Not necessarily this board, but as far as what's in front of us, we're going to eventually have to make a decision and do something with this application.
right.
If that answers your question, I mean that's kind of outside of our scope to really go. We have done site visits, and I mean if that's something. I don't know if the board feels maybe we should.
But have you guys signed off on the electrical that it's been inspected since he had the prior violations?
That I mean, again, that would be
We were talking. This is why we met with.
Yeah, that would be with the building department and any permits he has, whether they're not signed off
Right.
for electrical, plumbing, building, insulation, anything like that. That's really not in our jurisdiction.
Right, but even though he had 30 days to do it, to complete the notice, and it's been 7 months.
I would think that would be more an issue, a legal issue, not really with the board.
Yeah, you should probably call the town. You should probably call the electrical inspector, Russ.
We met with the electrical inspector. Oh, sorry, you weren't there.
But yeah, I mean, again,
me and Molly will be in touch with them
yeah,
to see where it was left off at.
Yeah, again, I mean, those would be phone calls I'd probably make to the building department.
Right.
Try to speak with the building inspector, zoning enforcement officer. Those questions he could probably answer for you as
Right.
far as what inspections have been done and the stage at what they're at with the work that they've been permitted to do.
Right.
I would assume with this ongoing, I would assume the only permit that's probably been issued is a demolition permit.
Right.
And that would be just to remove whatever the infraction is and make it safe.
Right.
For the time being until this is all resolved. That's an assumption,
Right, I understand.
but that would be a phone call I'd make to them.
Right. But like we talked to the deputy fire chief, and they refused to give him access to the property.
Would I mean,
You know, they said they didn't know
would a
any
site visit? I mean, make sense to do?
Well, we've already got an electrical permit for it, so. I mean,
No,
it's-
you must
It's underway.
have-
No,
Basically-
I mean to go and see the property and see the layout and see.
I'd have to ask the tenants, but I have, you know, basically what's going on right now, I'm trying to get a third unit. So upon the outcome of this is what I decide to do with finishing off the electrical. But right now, the service is being upgraded. So, I mean, all the electrical's being ripped out.
No, we're not talking about electrical. We're talking just see the layout of the building, the existing use of the building, those type of things. So I mean, if it's a legal 2-family, I mean, we can usually pick that stuff up pretty good. That we could probably give some feedback on that.
Yeah.
Or if it is a legal
Yeah.
3-family or whatever.
Well,
I mean,
I'll talk to the building inspector about it.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying, as far as this board, to better knowledge this board, if you'd like, we could probably schedule a site visit if you'd like.
Well,
And
I'll
we could
talk to
inspect
my
the car.
counsel on that. I have to speak with the building department again on that as well.
Okay.
Is there a reason why the zoning would like to take a visit?
Well, it'd just be on
Would
on
the
what
building
the
inspector be doing that instead? Or?
well. See, he would be inspecting it more for building code, but we'd be inspecting it more for the use of the property. So
Yeah.
I mean, if we can go out there and help you determine that this was a multifamily or 2-family, I mean, that might be a good exercise for us to do.
Maybe we should. Yeah, maybe we
Yeah,
should.
I mean, I think if we continue the meeting, though, we wouldn't be able to really make a decision and vote on doing that.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be able to do that until
As
next
far as
meeting.
making a site visit, I mean, I don't have any problem with that. I mean, it's been there for forever, So I mean, it's not.
No, they want to gain access into the apartments.
Yeah, sir. Thank you. I mean, do you want to do that? Do you want to?
Well, I'd have to speak to my counsel. I mean, I don't think it's an issue. I'll just speak with my counsel and see if that's an issue with him.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean?
I'd be more than
I
happy
mean, I got nothing to
to.
hide.
I'd come down.
It's always
Yeah.
been like that, So
Yeah.
So
Okay, so I guess what do we have available for
September 14th, following Johnson.
September 14th? Is there any further comments, you guys, Ms. Gamache?
I had some comments,
Sure.
only because I live kind of like diagonal.
Mhm.
And the house that I live in was a 2-family house. The woman who lived there passed away and somebody else bought it and they tried to make it into a 3-family. They came before the zoning board of appeals and everything, and he was told that he couldn't do it. And he was told, so then he renovated it back to, not renovated it, but did very slight work to it and just sold it, and that's when I purchased it. And the reason that it couldn't be turned into a 3-family was because the amount of square footage of land. I have 26,000 something square feet. That the land over at your place is only 20,000 something. And then once my kids all moved out and everything, I was going to put an apartment in, and I couldn't do that because I only had 26,000 square feet. It would have had to have been 30,000 square feet, or with a special permit, it would have had to have been 44,000 square feet.
It's 40,000.
I was allowed to put a kitchen in as an in-law accessory, but that's all I was allowed to. It's a single-family dwelling.
Yep. Yeah, and an in-law
So just
isn't allowed use by
careful
special permit. Yep.
what you allow, because it sets a precedence.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm
we.
not looking to, and I'm not. It's nothing against you. I'm just saying, if it's done, it's a precedence for others to be done.
Well, it's not. It's not only that it's precedence, but it's not allowed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's black and white in the bylaws. Some things there's interpretation, but there's no interpretation of that. It's not an allowed use in a residence A or B. There is one section that's structures containing more than one, not more than 8, and that it increases the frontage, increases the area to get to 4 units, and then after that, there's an increase in frontage for every single unit. That you basically, I don't think there's a property in Hanson in the Residence B that you could even do that, and I can tell you not on a 20,000 square foot. So basically, the possibilities are the way I see it with this property are, it's a pre-existing non-conforming 2-family potentially. If someone could, go back and show us that, or
I couldn't even do that. I
Yeah.
couldn't do that because of the square footage of my property being only 26,000.
what I'm saying is if it was an existing two-family that predated zoning, that's what I'm saying. If it was an existing two-family prior to zoning,
1950.
prior to zoning adoption, that's a legal use that can be continued. That use can be continued, even if it was a three-family. I mean, if that existed prior to zoning, it's protected, that use.
What year was zoning? I'm sorry. What year was zoning?
1955.
55.
55. Okay.
Yep. But again, there is one small way that you can do a two-family in a residential district, and that has to meet the requirements of the structure has to be built prior to zoning, and you have to have a minimum of 40,000 square feet. Those are the ways that you can do a legal two-family today. Now, if this was a legal non-conforming two-family that predated zoning and was there, I mean, then that's legal. It can be continued. And that wouldn't even be something that the board needs to really act on. That would be something that the zoning enforcement officer, the building inspector, would be able to issue a remodel permit for a two-family. But I'm going to lean towards that it's not, because our old building inspector was very, very good with zoning, and he probably would have issued a remodel permit on that if that were the case. That's just again, these are all my assumptions and my instinct, just going off what I have in front of me and what I know. But I like I said, I can tell you that a 3-unit building would not be an allowed use there, and we do not grant use variances. I can tell you that. Again, as far as everything else goes, if you want to, try to find more information that you can give to the board, I mean, that's up to you. That's your option. What I can tell you is all the information I dug through, that the most recent thing I could find that references property in any way was that it was a single-family dwelling. This was a permit for, this is the comment on it. This home is to be painted, decorated, wired for a single-family dwelling to be sold. The old building in the rear has been removed. And that was a single-family dwelling. That's what the use was. It says right here, use. And I can get you a copy of this. 830 Main Street from August 26, 1968. I mean, that's, like I said, for an old property, I was surprised at how thin this folder was, which tells me that someone didn't come in a lot. So whatever happened there, happened there. And this board isn't necessarily going to say, hey, someone got away with doing this, 40 years ago, and there's 3 illegal apartments here. You should grant me a permit for it. We grant permits based on merit. So if you want to do some homework and come back to us with some more information that you have, or your attorney digs up or something, that's completely up to you. Like I said, I don't mind doing a little bit of legwork and doing a little digging like I did for you today for an hour. But again, I'm a volunteer. I work 80 hours a week, so my time's limited.
Yeah.
And it's more or less the burden on the applicant to give us the information we need to make a decision.
Yeah, I understand.
So, like I said, if you'd like, we could put this to a vote, or if you'd like to. If you'd like to continue the meeting, I'm sure we could do that too.
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay, so we have, is there any more comments? Anyone? Okay.
Not at this time.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to continue to September 14th, 2021 at 7:30
Yeah.
p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor to continue the meeting to September 14th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's continued to September 14th, 21.
That's good.
7:30
That's my birthday.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a
Sorry, you
motion
said
to adjourn.
14.
14.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.